Tensions are soaring in the Baltic Sea, a critical waterway where East meets West. Recently, the region has become a flashpoint, with Russian and NATO forces engaging in a tense standoff that has the world holding its breath. It all started with what many are calling a deliberate provocation by Russia. A fleet of Russian warships, including advanced frigates and corvettes, began a series of aggressive naval exercises dangerously close to NATO maritime borders. These maneuvers weren't just routine drills. They involved simulated missile strikes and electronic warfare jamming, creating a significant disruption to civilian shipping and air traffic. The message from Moscow seemed clear: a bold display of military might, testing NATO's resolve and challenging its dominance in the region. The international community watched nervously. How would NATO respond to such a direct challenge? The answer came swiftly and decisively, not with heated words, but with the silent, imposing power of the United States Navy. In a move that reportedly caught the Kremlin off guard, the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group was rerouted from its previous mission and began steaming towards the Baltic. This wasn't just any naval group. The Gerald R. Ford is the world's most advanced aircraft carrier, a floating fortress that represents the pinnacle of American naval power. Accompanied by a fleet of Ticonderoga-class cruisers, Arleigh-Burke-class destroyers, and a nuclear-powered submarine, its arrival fundamentally changed the strategic calculus in the region. The message was unmistakable. While Russia was conducting exercises, the US was deploying an entire carrier strike group, a force capable of projecting overwhelming air and sea power anywhere in the world. The strike group didn't engage in aggressive maneuvers of its own. It didn't need to. Its very presence was the response. It established a powerful defensive perimeter, conducting joint exercises with allied navies from Poland, Germany, and the Scandinavian countries. This showcased a unified and highly capable NATO force ready to defend its members. Reports from intelligence sources indicated that Moscow was taken by surprise. They had expected a diplomatic protest, perhaps some sanctions. They did not expect a direct and overwhelming show of military readiness on their doorstep. The Russian fleet, which had been acting with such bravado, suddenly altered its behavior. The aggressive simulations ceased, and their ships gradually pulled back from the sensitive border areas, returning to their home ports much earlier than scheduled. There were no public statements of retreat from Moscow, of course, but the actions on the water spoke louder than any official press release. The US Navy's response was a masterclass in modern deterrence. It wasn't about escalating the conflict, but about de-escalating it through undeniable strength. It was a demonstration that while provocations might grab headlines, a quiet, calculated display of superior capability can restore stability without firing a single shot. This strategic move effectively neutralized the threat and reinforced the security of NATO's eastern flank. So what does this mean for the future of the Baltic Sea? The region remains a critical strategic choke point. Russia continues to view it as part of its sphere of influence, while NATO is committed to guaranteeing freedom of navigation and the security of its member states like Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which all border the Baltic. The recent incident highlights the delicate balance of power. The US Navy's response sends a clear signal that any attempts to intimidate or challenge the alliance will be met with a swift, unified, and overwhelming show of force. The deployment of the Gerald R. Ford was not just about one incident. It was about setting a precedent for the future. This event also underscores the importance of alliances. The seamless integration of the US Carrier Strike Group with the navies of other NATO members demonstrated the alliance's core strength, unity, and interoperability. Pilots from different nations were practicing takeoffs and landings on the deck of the USS Gerald R. Ford, and ships from various countries were coordinating their movements in complex naval formations. This level of cooperation is something Russia cannot easily replicate, and it serves as a powerful deterrent in its own right. It shows that an attack on one is truly an attack on all, and the collective defense is not just a promise on paper, but a well-oiled military machine. The response from Moscow has been notably subdued. State-controlled media, which initially celebrated the Russian naval drills, quickly shifted focus to other topics. This quiet reaction is perhaps the most telling indicator of how effective the US and NATO response was, when faced with a force that they could not realistically challenge. Without risking a massive escalation, they chose to back down. This quiet retreat from the brink is a victory for strategic deterrence, and a testament to the power of a ready and capable naval force. It shows that peace and stability are often best preserved not by those who shout the loudest, but by those who carry the biggest, quietest stick. Looking ahead, we can expect both sides to continue to test each other's boundaries in the Baltic and beyond. Naval and air patrols will likely increase, and the cat-and-mouse game of intelligence gathering and electronic surveillance will intensify. However, the recent standoff has redrawn the lines and reinforced the rules of engagement. NATO has shown it will not be intimidated, and the United States has reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to the defense of its allies. The silent, powerful presence of the US Navy left Moscow speechless, reminding everyone that in the high-stakes game of global geopolitics, actions will always speak louder than words. The sailors and aviators aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford and its escort ships continue their watch, a silent guarantee of security in an uncertain world. The strategic implications are huge. The deployment wasn't just a reaction. It was a proactive statement about American reach and its commitment to global stability. By placing its most advanced carrier in the Baltic, the Pentagon signaled that no region is too far or too contested for the US to project its power in defense of its interests and allies. This has a ripple effect, reassuring allies not just in Europe but across the globe, from the South China Sea to the Middle East. It's a reminder that despite challenges elsewhere, the US Navy remains the ultimate arbiter of the high seas. For the Kremlin, this was a moment of stark realization. Their strategy of using hybrid warfare and calculated provocations to splinter NATO unity backfired spectacularly. Instead of creating division, their actions triggered a powerful demonstration of solidarity. The US response was not just American, it was the sharp end of the NATO spear, backed by the full political and military weight of the 30-nation alliance. This incident will likely force a reassessment within Russian military planning circles about the risks and rewards of challenging NATO's maritime boundaries so directly in the future. They have been shown the limits of their provocative tactics and the price of miscalculation. The Baltic Sea is calmer for now, but it remains a space to watch closely as this new chapter of strategic competition unfolds. Thanks for watching. And be sure to follow our channel for more updates on global security and defense.